As in,
Alrighty, good, okay. It is 11:01 a.m. on January 7th, 2025. We are here for a regular meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. I believe our last regular meeting as this Board of County Commissioners. With that, we can just, if everyone can please silence their cell phones for the meeting, and we'll stand for the pledge of allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Look over the agenda for approval, staff or commissioners, any items that need to come off or any rearrangement of the order to help things go smoothly?
Nothing for me.
Okay, then.
I'll move to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
Second motion.
Great, call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye, great, the agenda is approved as posted. Community information items, none for me.
I'll just, being our last regular meeting, would like to say that it's been a privilege to serve this community and work with, everybody here in this entity. I'm pretty proud of where we've come from 8 years ago, and I think that, all of us have, led or been involved with a ethos of leaving it better than we found it, and I think we've made huge improvements. So I thank everybody, thank all of my past board members and the current board. Special thanks to Commissioner Fiedler.
It has been a pleasure.
I've just been here 8 months, man, it's been a wild ride.
Indeed. Any other community information items?
I've got a statement to read, but it's in relation to agenda item number 1.
Great, I'll for
So
sure
wait till
make
that
sure we
time.
have, yep, okay. With that, public comment for items not on the agenda. Is anyone in the room wish to make public comment? Seeing none. Anyone online wish to make public comment for items not on the agenda? Not seeing any. The usual slow walk for a second. Okay. Then we'll move into the agenda. The first item, discussion and consideration of a lease agreement with Mount Albert Moto. I'll lead off here. I think where we stand is we currently do not have a lease agreement in good standing with the motocross park. They will need that in place before they can open in 2025. So, you know, late spring, early summer when the snow clears. My understanding, it's unfortunate we don't have discussions between the Mount Albert Moto and the county manager aren't finalized, so we don't have a final lease agreement to consider before us. That's unfortunate to not have gotten that across the finish line and to leave the motocross agreement in the hands of the incoming BOCC. So Matt, sorry for one more issue that's gonna be on your on your plate, unresolved. I did wanna say from the county side, as we've been looking into this, even though there was a agenda item in April of '23 discussing a renewal of this lease, that actually never got finalized. There's no recorded version of that contract or agreement, and no one has a signed version of that.
We've seen
So-
it though. Tim and I have seen it.
You cannot find it.
I can't find it. I know.
It's not
I know.
recorded.
I don't, I mean,
Yeah,
not,
Yeah,
might say I mean, I think we did finalize something, so I think that's a big part of the challenge here with the communications going on and that, I'm not sure we're following, right,
well,
prior
in-
and current agreement.
yeah, well, so maybe a better way to say it is there is lingering uncertainty, but in any case, there needs to be a lease agreement in place for them to operate, and if someone can produce a valid signed and countersigned agreement, that would be awesome.
And I apologize because at the time in April 2023, former Commissioner Marcel and I believed working towards that, and she was working on the draft, and I apologize that I could not get that. I never got what was proposed for the new terms, and so I apologize if that ball was dropped and no follow-up was done on that, but I have nothing in my files from that time, any documents, so.
Yeah, and Chris, I appreciate you saying that, but I think, there are many, the commissioners, staff, county attorney, also the motocross park, all needed to have been, not dropping that ball. And again, if we can find it, that's great, but, again, a final version was never on a subsequent agenda, and there's no recorded version, and no one has a signed version of it, or even a final unsigned version of it that we can find in our files, so, yeah.
Yeah, I know we physically don't have it, I think it might be worth going back and taking the 2012 lease agreement and then the communications and the conversation that happened in that April of 23 meeting that were agreed upon, and in my head, that's kind of where I'm leaping from the conversations and hearing the most feedback from the motocross group of like, we had this agreement, but now there's a new set of things we're discussing, and because of that, I think that we need some more discussion and we need to set a maybe different trajectory of expectations, perhaps.
Yeah, I did go back and listen to the recording for that meeting, and I did
great.
say at that time that I recommended that we take the opportunity in amending the lease to look at the lease overall to see if there were other matters addressed in the lease that needed to be addressed in the amendment. And so, again, I apologize, I had emails with Caleb where she was working on that and had offered to send me her draft, and I apologize, I didn't get it, and then I fell off the radar for that.
Yeah.
So I take responsibility for that.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think, we're in this strange situation where we have a full handoff to a new BOCC that's gonna be the ones to agree. So I think, the three of us can say our piece here and hand off whatever, positions or thoughts or on this matter that we want to the new commissioners, so I think, we have the 2023 April meeting, ideas on amendments. We have quite a lot of discussion, over the last several months with the BOCC on things that we think should be there in terms of safety, and Hal, you speak in a second, not let you speak.
Yeah.
But I think, it's really, again, unfortunate just to have to hand this off to a new board, but it's for them to take on board, what we've said, what we said in 23, what the motocross folks are saying, and, see what they want in the final agreement, and, take up the reins on working with the motocross folks. So with that, and I don't have anything else to say. I think everything that I care about for the park has been said, in work sessions, and has been transferred, into sort of the working draft that Tim, county manager, has been working with the motocross folks. So with that, Hal, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, there's been a lot of misinformation and just out and out lies propagated by people on social media, and I wanna make this statement put this on the record. I'd like to begin this statement by stating that I've been involved in the sport of motocross as a fan and participant dating back to 1973. I've raced at tracks in Southern California, Nevada, and Colorado. Sadly, I've seen numerous tracks, including some of the most historically significant tracks in California, close for two main reasons: development related to the value of the property and liability, specifically lawsuits related to accidents and the high cost of insurance. Lake Elsinore Motorsports Park and the Los Angeles County Raceway are two of the most recent examples of long-standing, well-run facilities that were permanently closed because of lawsuits related to accidents and canceled liability insurance. I've ridden at the Mount Massive Moto facility since its inception. Former Commissioner Mike Bordonia and I were riding partners, and I can recall that the purpose of the proposed facility was to provide a safe and fun place for local motocross enthusiasts to practice their riding skills. During its first few years of operation, the track was available for use 7 days a week, with track watering and prep on the weekends. Since then, the operation of the track has changed for the worse for local riders, particularly those that are not hardcore racers. The track is now only open on weekends. Its features are not user-friendly for novice and/or older or younger riders. An unknown number of users, though I suspect close to the majority, are not from Lake County. I have personally witnessed verbal altercations and threatened violence between riders resulting from on-track riding behavior. In my role as a county commissioner, one of the fundamental duties is to protect the county from undue liability. Operating any facility on county-owned land is a privilege, not a right. I would like to remind the current track operators, as well as those who use the facility, that the land the track sits on is well within the FAA restricted space surrounding the Leadville Airport and could be closed for any use at any given time by the FAA. I would like to state unequivocally that the operational changes in the proposed updated lease agreement are intended to safeguard both the track operators and the county from undue liability and ensure that the track can remain operational into the future. These safeguards include, but are not limited to, the following best practices for track operation: improving safety around jump features by installing a warning light system, reducing the size of jumps or positioning flaggers at blind jumps, having designated riding times for different rider ability levels, better communication of track riding etiquette to patrons, changes to track design to provide alternative lines around certain types of advanced track features, requiring appropriate safety gear for track riders, having an on-site EMT during hours when the track is open, and a digital waiver system. These are all best practices recommended by track safety organizations such as the Brett Downey Safety Foundation, which can be found at www.mxsafety38.org. Additionally, the county has a right to access the financials of the track operators, which is consistent with other organizations operating on county property. The golf course and ski Cooper being two examples of that. A digital waiver system would also facilitate the capture of relevant data points that could help both the operators and the county get a clearer picture of track usage, user demographics, and revenue operational cost comparisons. This information could also help with obtaining recreational grant funding, which was used to build the facility in the first place. Sadly, the current track operators have taken the county's lease revisions as a personal affront rather than an effort to ensure the track can continue to operate into the future. I, as well as a concerned community member, had been kicked off the track's Facebook page. When this community member and I requested access to the facility, the operators threatened to summon the sheriff. This is unprofessional behavior that reflects negatively on the maturity of the operators and is disingenuous given the fact that both of us are motocross enthusiasts who want to see the track succeed. The current track operators have done everything they can to delay the implementation of the new lease in the hope that the next BOCC will give them more favorable terms. Maintaining the status quo at this facility would be foolish, given the nature of the sport and the current legal climate around the operation of motocross tracks around the country. It is my hope that the members of the next board have the wisdom to see the bigger picture surrounding the operation of motocross tracks on taxpayer-owned land. The fact of the matter is that tracks operated on public land are an endangered species. All it takes is one lawsuit to send a track to the graveyard, with the operators and county being liable for a financial settlement that could bankrupt the operators and potentially impact county services. The track is a great resource, I'd like to see personally, I'd like to see it succeed and continue to operate. I think there's a lot of potential out there to improve things and bring it up to modern standards. The things that we're asking for in a lease are basically best practices that are found throughout the industry. This is a dangerous sport, no doubt about it. People have had life-altering injuries and even been killed doing this. And it's short-sighted to keep doing things the way that we've always been doing it, or to say, oh, we, the county, shouldn't be involved in telling them how to do what they do. I disagree with that strongly. I think that because it's county-owned land, we have a right to ensure that things are being done out there to modern standards, and that we're taking every step that we can to mitigate the risk. Rather than just say, oh, we'll just keep on doing things the way we do it. And so I'm providing, if anybody wants a copy of my statement, I have it. I've also got some additional information here for Duncan. And my hope is that the next board doesn't drop the ball and takes the necessary steps to make sure that things are improved out there and so that we can keep the track open. Because I think it's a great resource for local kids, local youth, older people, motorcycle enthusiasts of all ages and abilities. Right now, that's not what it is. You go out there on any given weekend, it's packed to the gills of people. Most of them, I'm sure, from out of county. There needs to be more order and more safety out there. That's all I have to say about this.
Great, thank you, Hal,
All right.
appreciate taking the time to prepare all that. I don't have anything else to say on this. I don't think we need to make any decision. I mean, it just is where it is, and the next board will take it up. So I don't know if you have other final.
Not being a user of the track or an experienced rider of, that activity, I think there are, again, I guess I'll just say, I think that it's worth better conversations with the operators, because I have heard, conflicting sides to some of the statements made by Commissioner Edwards, though I don't have, the experience to debate those, so that's not what I'm meaning to do here. I also think that some of the things in the current drafted language look like sort of either unfunded mandates or ways that could significantly change the way a nonprofit operates, and I think those need to have, that organization should have a little more time to respond to some of the things that are in there, because they, having the experience of building and operating as a volunteer at a nonprofit, working for nonprofits and being on boards of nonprofits, those aren't simple things to comply with. I think it's worth, I understand that the FAA was out there speaking with the operators, and I don't know that we have a significant overlap of the FAA airport boundary, so that just needs to be verified. And I have, though, time and time again, in talking to the operators, made statements and do agree that financial tracking and information, the way that the board operates in meetings and gets feedback from users, and providing data points and fees. I mean, these are all things that are going to help in the conversations of what is realistically possible to meeting whatever requirements the future board might suggest. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
Alright, I will close out that agenda item number 1 on Mount Albert Moto and move on to number 2. Discussion and consideration of an amendment to the IGA between Lake County and the city of Leadville to extend the IGA termination date for the animal shelter. I think maybe, I'm not sure if it's Chris or Tim, can you give us an update on where things stand in terms of if there are any changes or amendments from the 12/31?
No, the the 12/31 meeting, the decision was made to sign off on the original version of the proposed amendment extending the term of the IGA through March 31st. That was sent to the city with a marked up version, essentially saying willing to consider these other changes, but we'd like to at least get this one in place, and then we can work on a new amendment to address those changes. Received word back on the 31st that the city would go forward in signing off on the original amendment, which they have done.
And that's in our packet, so.
With a note that said that it would be ratified at city council, and I did confirm before this meeting that it is on the agenda for city council tonight to be ratified. So,
Which,
the original one, the
Okay.
original version, just extending the term
Okay.
to March 31st,
So the one that's in our packet, the city administrator has signed.
has signed.
Okay, and
So
are we
it's really done.
expecting any changes?
No,
Looks
I
like
spoke
the-
with the mayor this
okay.
morning and she anticipates the resolution to
Just,
pass
okay,
the
great.
way it is written.
Yeah, and then the city attorney recommended that instead of spending more time on amendments to the amendment, to go on and focus on the draft IGA
Yeah.
that's before the city and the county at this point in time,
okay,
which I would support that.
that sounds good to me. Yeah, and just logistically, I'm not even sure it would be, if they have changes tonight, that will just become painful.
Yeah.
That's great, that we're all, they and we all are taking that pragmatic view. I think, yeah, then, again, this will be an issue, so this essentially is a 3-month extension. And I think the current commissioners had weighed in on that draft new IGA. As with the previous agenda item, the new commissioners are welcome to read our views. I don't think we need to go into it too much here unless anyone wants to. I'll just say, I mean, that IGA I think was a really solid first step. You know, there were some things that we caught that weren't quite in line with some of the elements from our work session towards the end of last year. But again, it was a very solid first step of a revised IGA, so I think that seems like we're in pretty good shape to be able to work through that in the next 3 months. So that's really all I have to say on that. I don't know if anyone, Sarah, do you wanna say anything closing on
no,
animal shelter issues? Okay. Then we can close, yeah, anything else from? Okay, great. Then we can move on to agenda item number 3, discussion and consideration of a professional services agreement with Jeff Stoll, Public Health and Environmental Consulting LLC, for the Colorado Public Health Improvement Plan. Has Julia listed as leading this?
Hi there, I'm here.
Hey, great, we can hear you loud and clear, so go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, great. So, yeah, this is for a PSA for Jeff Stoll. So we, as you know, have our community health assessment coming up, and we applied for and received grant funding through the state at the amount of $11,500, and we have connected with Jeff Stoll, who is interested in being our contractor for that amount of money. Essentially, he would just help guide us through this process. He's done this before. He actually did Park County's recent community health assessment, and I spoke with folks from the state who are kind of my resource, and they thought he did a really good job, which is helpful. I think Park County's kind of a interesting county that's similar to Lake County in some ways. There's not a lot of counties like Lake County. And so he's worked in public health. He's got a good reputation, and that's who we have a contract to hire. And like I said, the funding's already there, and the funding that we're using will go through the end of September, at which point we're hoping in August to reapply for the same funding and get some additional money. And as long as things are going well with him, we would maybe rehire to help with the improvement plan. This will help get us through the community health assessment part, which has to be done by the end of the year. So things are kind of in motion, and it's just a matter of making sure we get the approval from you all.
Okay. Any questions or comments? See, I don't think we have any questions or comments, so I'll just go ahead and, everything looked good in the packet from
Great.
my read throughs, so just look for a motion to approve, the PSA with Jeff Stoll, Public Health and Environmental Consulting LLC.
So moved.
Second motion.
Great, call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you, Julia. That PSA with Jeff Stoll is approved.
Thank you all so much. Take care.
Great, thank you.
Aye.
Okay, agenda item number 4, discussion and consideration of a PSA with Economic Planning Systems, Inc. to prepare an impact fee nexus study for Lake County. Ann.
Thank you so much. So based on approval by the board for the selection of EPS to assist us in this study work, we went back and went through the scope of work and fine-tuned it with EPS to reflect an amount of $71,590. We modified the scope of work to be conducive with the scope of what we want to achieve in light of support around safety services, roadways, housing, and basic infrastructure support. And so they agreed to that, and we do now have a prepared PSA that is out to EPS for execution in the amount of $71,590. So we'd be looking for a recommendation of approval based on receiving the executed PSA back from the vendor and getting it board for signature and recording. So,
Any
Okay.
questions from me?
No questions from me?
No. Yes. I'll move to approve the PSA with Economic Planning Systems, or EPS, Inc. to prepare an impact fee nexus study for Lake County.
Second motion.
Great. Call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Fantastic. Thanks, Ann. So that PSA with Economic Planning Systems, Inc. Is approved. Great, thanks for working through those modifications.
absolutely.
Okay. Agenda item number 5, discussion and consideration of a PSA with Sherry Gibson, PhD, LLC, to provide a neuropsychology evaluation for at-risk adults with recommendations to enhance or maintain current cognitive functioning. I have Laura Cruz as leading this.
Yes, I am on. Thank
Great.
you. Thank you guys for the opportunity to talk about this today. Yes, through Adult Protective Services, occasionally we come across typically older adults who have no family to take care of them and are challenged with cognitive and psychological issues. In order for us to work through what a plan for that individual should be, whether that be a guardianship type of situation or not, it requires neuropsychological testing, and there is very few providers and psychologists in the state of Colorado that does this. Dr. Sherry Gibson has actually worked with DHS in the past, and I can't go into details about what has prompted this PSA, but essentially we have individuals that she has worked with in the past that are actually needing to be reassessed because of cognitive and psychological decline. So this PSA is an up to 20,000. The new BOCC will be seeing a lot more of these types of contracts because we have specific practitioners that we have to access throughout the year, and we need to be able to access them pretty quickly because of the crisis situations that we're dealing with. So we're basically having her on retainer. We have a project for her right now that we need completed, but we also have 1 to 2 older adults in particular that we may need to access this service for in the future as well. So I'm looking for an approval of this PSA with Dr. Sherry Gibson.
Great. Okay, thank you. Any questions or?
Nothing from me.
Okay, great. Great, thanks Laura for the clear explanation, appreciate that. So look for a motion to approve the PSA with Sherry Gibson, PhD, LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Great, call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the PSA with Sherry Gibson, PhD LLC, for an amount up to 20,000 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Agenda item number 6, discussion and consideration of an amendment to the PSA with CBS Accounting LLC to assist Lake County Finance through the 2025 fiscal year. Candace, excellent timing.
So we are just wanting to extend Christine's contract to the fiscal year 2025. And then we've amended our scope of work. I think last year we didn't have a great conversation piece going back and forth, and we lost a lot of the historical context that we needed in order to get the finance team communicating with other departments and moving forward with kind of bringing a lot more of our finance in-house. And so we've kind of added that as the last piece of the scope of work. And then she did up her rates. She's honored her 23 rates for us for 2 years, and so it's gone up to 195 from 185. So we adjusted the total amount up to 70,500 to encompass the fact that her rates went up. We don't anticipate spending fully that much, but that is what we spent this last year. We are hoping that we can use her a little bit more on a consulting basis and do a lot of the legwork ourselves. So that's our request.
Okay. And sorry, I think, and is the idea that at the, like at some point in 2025 or by the end of 2025, we would bring that, you know, most or all of these services in-house?
I think we'll be able to bring most of the services in-house. I would love to probably have her on for next year, just in case we come across some weird things.
Yeah.
There are always historical things that you come across, and you're like, what on earth have we done in the past?
Yeah.
And she provides a great deal of context for us to
Yep.
figure out what we did so we can make it better in the future. So that would be my goal with extending, is to utilize those resources less, and that's a big part of adding that change in scope of work, is that we want to start working to create better processes, knowing what we've done in the past, and she knows that our goal is to kind of take it over in-house ourselves. So I think we just maybe didn't have that great communication piece and lost a lot of historical information that we just needed to set things up and move forward correctly.
I mean, Christine's been with the county for 20 years, I think,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, I wouldn't rush that to have a finite kind of deadline, and I think that Christine, it seems like Christine's always been willing and available as we've needed her at different levels, so I'd encourage you to just, keep that relationship for as long as you need, because it might take a little bit. Alright, I don't have any questions for Candace. I'll move to approve the PSA with CBS Accounting LLC.
Second motion.
Okay. Call for a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. So that amendment to the PSA with CBS Accounting LLC is approved. Alright, great. Thanks, Candace. Item 7, discussion consideration of an amended scope of work with Fair and Peers for continued consultant support for Lake County Transit. Tim, you're up on this one.
Yes, I would like to request a fiscal year 2025 PSA with Fair and Peers. Fair and Peers has worked with the county since, 2019, doing the feasibility study on the local transit service, developing the route, helping with the RFP process, working with CDOT, and the FTA on funding and sustainable funding for this. So I would like their support through 2025, the amount or a not to exceed amount of $9,160, mainly to help with that sustainable funding piece. So we still have the local match between the city and the county in 2026. The current FTA and CDOT funding will expire. So being able to secure more longer term funding for this, and then also helping me with cleaning up some of the grant funding with the summit stage will be very helpful.
Sure. So you're saying, so that current funding goes through the end of calendar year 2026, or, yeah,
Yep.
okay, great.
It was amazing.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
No,
It's a
nothing
pretty
for me.
modest amount to keep, yeah. Work on that sustainability plan, so,
I'll move to approve the amended scope of work with Fair and Peers to continue consultation support for Lake County Transit.
Second motion.
great. Call for vote?
Aye.
Aye, great, okay, so that amended scope of work with Fair and Pierce is approved. Item 8, discussion and consideration of the approval of the annual highway user tax fund report, for CDOT. Michael?
So I have it here, it's just here for your signatures. The only thing, I've got 4 changes this year that are just attribute changes to the roads. County Road 10, the section from County Road 24 to 10M where it goes up into Banhart, that we paved this last year. Didn't get recorded, so it's being recorded as now a paved road and it's in good condition. Which obviously hopefully adds to our money coming back. Silver Eagle Court that we did completely remove and replace this year. Part of County Road 4, I had to split a section of it to show the work that we did last year, because there was a section of it that didn't get done. So I had to split it to make sure that those 2 sections show that one's good, one's fair. And that was the only major change this year, is to split that section into 2 different sections.
Okay.
And then the maps and all the roads for Lake County are here for signatures.
Okay.
If you want that now, or. I need the top copy back, and the other one, the second copy can go to Cindy to get recorded.
Okay.
Okay, great, I don't have any further questions.
No questions for Michael, I guess just for point of information, we do this every year.
Yep.
And there are some instances where you might suggest or have a conversation about removing some roads from the inventory or adding them, and there's various reasons that we may or may not want to do that. Sometimes it's continuing to have what might be a obvious or well-documented easement of some sort, should that road need to be used or want to be used in for any other reason, like a regional trail. But I have not, I think we've kind of hit that conversation once over the last 8 years, and other than having a lot of questions about how the formula funding has been developed in the past and continues to be a challenge for those who are maybe not as well compensated for the roadways that we have to maintain, which is a bigger, larger kind of legislative question at the state level, but.
Yeah, I know that's a question now with, in the legislature right now, and it's probably just gonna stay the way it is.
Yeah.
Wish it could have been one of those 17 counties that get a lot of money.
Yeah.
Didn't CCIM move forward with that this year? So that was next.
They were moving forward with it, but it's stalled.
I think it's sort of like a perennial discussion
Yeah.
item. So, yeah.
Alright, well, I'll move to approve the presented inventory, of the Highway User Tax Fund, or HUTF report.
Second motion.
Great, call for a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. That annual report for HUTF is approved, sir, I think you had to sign the second sheet too. Alrighty. Michael, is that all good? You have everything you need from us?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All we need is submitted.
Okay. Number 9, discussion and consideration of the energy efficiency and conservation block grant from the Colorado Energy Office to provide grant funding for a contractor or full-time employee to perform sustainability work activities. Have Jane?
Hi.
Oh,
Come on here,
great.
hiding in the back. So I am here seeking your approval to accept the grant contract with CEO, pending final legal review. So there's a hefty stack of documents to sift through. But you all approved accepting this grant award on September 3rd to fund the full-time sustainability coordinator position. And we received a statement of work this past week that was finalized from the Colorado Energy Office, outlining all of our grant reporting requirements and our budget breakdown. And we did have a few things flagged from legal that just need a little bit more review, and rather than a review, more follow-up on our end for who's administering the grant, which right now will be myself. I'll loop in Catherine Greer for that as well, so that we can make sure we're hitting all their deadlines and requirements. Because this is pass-through funding from the Department of Energy, there are very few negotiations we can make on this contract. So it really is just making sure our statement of work is aligning with our plans for the job, position, description, as well as our internal following of all of their protocols. So there's monthly calls, there are check-ins that are required, as well as monthly reporting out, since this is a reimbursement grant on a monthly basis. But we're really just looking for approval from y'all to accept, and it's in the form of an email. There is no signature required.
Okay. And this was 3-year full funding, right?
3 years, yes. Yep, so $240,000. We're still working through exactly what that breakdown will look like year to year with the salary and the fringe benefits based on our applicants and what starting salary we end up with.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think in the past, we've had the conversation about this focusing on like county operations, county facilities, but also is there room for like a broader, because all of infrastructure is so interdependent on, economic development, land use development, how can we really like have this scope be sure to kind of fold in other like partner districts and how those are affected and how it's all really part of the bigger picture, so.
Yes, we have a bullet point on the job description that highlights that it is primarily intended to support county operations and working across departments, but also intended to help support the broader sustainability efforts across the community. So really in conjunction with that climate action plan.
Great, thank you. I know you had verified that in the last conversation, but good to bring it up. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, then I'll look for a motion to approve, accept. Accept.
It's just an approval that
Yeah.
was changed by email acknowledgement back to
Okay.
the grant funders that accepted it.
Pending
guess-
final legal review?
Yeah. So I guess, so is it, accept and give authorization to send back that, email confirmation, for the energy efficiency and conservation block grant from the Colorado Energy Office pending final legal review.
So moved.
Second motion?
Call for vote?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10, discussion and consideration of the underfunded courthouse facilities grant award to Lake County for the renovation of the Lake County Courthouse. Tim, you were listed on this one.
Thank you. So Commissioner Fiedler went once again before the underfunded courts grant committee. What are they?
UCFC, UFF,
Yeah.
UFC, I see all the acronyms, so.
Anyway, Lake County was awarded $500,000 by the underfunded courts fund for work in 2025 as part of the courthouse renovation process. So this will tie in with the COP, the general fund contribution, all of that. I anticipate that part of the funding this year will, go heavily towards planning efforts for redesigning upstairs within reason. of what the fifth judicial district would like. And then I imagine hopefully the future board will go back down to the underfunded courts later this year and ask for more funding for any construction and remodel that will happen.
Okay,
Thank you for doing that and appreciate it. You've
Well,
been
that- yeah,
steadfast in your
yeah,
efforts
it
to,
is. It has been a journey during this term.
yes, yes. Okay, so we're just moving to accept the grant award.
Correct,
Okay.
yep.
I'll move to accept the grant award from the underfunded courthouse facilities grant, for the renovation of the Lake County Courthouse.
Second motion?
Call for vote?
Aye.
Aye, okay. There we go. Agenda item number 11, discussion and consideration of a purchase and sale agreement with Lake County School District for the purchase of property and an easement.
Sure, so we have, over the past 6 months, maybe, been working with the school district and the Board of Education on the sale of real property, for the county, understanding the, fiscal challenges that they were in, and then also the school district's effort to consolidate some of the schools, so, the county came up with the idea that the county could purchase some real property for workforce and affordable housing. And obviously in exchange for that would be cash, which would help the school district out, the situation there. And so there are two properties. They're the west third ones, the triangles, if you will, that are down on West Third and Marshall Duggan. We went down a long rabbit hole of the city of Leadville's history of recording or not recording certain things, or when that street was changed from Morrow Drive to Marshall Duggan. Anyway, we have figured out a legal description for what the county will be purchasing. And then there is the strip of land over by the elementary school and the Harrison ball fields, which we're working on the master plan for affordable and workforce housing over there. So there's a strip of land on the west of that property. So in discussions with the Board of Education, it would be for the county to purchase that northern half of the strip. The southern half of the strip would remain part of the school district's property. So that would need to go through a minor subdivision process, so that would be, a bit of a timely thing for hand to get to work on. But that is what the Board of Education requested, so we worked through all of those. This would, the board has previously given guidance on a general fund spend down of this, so this would be a general fund spend down of $950,000 for those two parcels. It also includes a closing time, because we still need to do a survey on the west third ones. We can't do the survey while the snow's on the ground, so that time is 210 days?
210 days.
210 days, so there'll be a lot of time.
From execution, so
Yeah,
we haven't started yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right, so after this approval, then that would start that clock, but then that gets everything set for West Third. Finalizing that, and then we'll be good. And then that West Third site is across from what we're working on currently for affordable housing, so we've gone through, the brownfields process and all of that there. We would need to do that for that site as well, but it is a good spot that was identified for affordable and workforce housing. And then obviously the Harrison ball field one, making that entire parcel the county's.
Small note on, I think it seemed pretty definitive, but there's something on the county's GIS site that had the strip and then a couple of other sites that were labeled as school district, but we
Yes.
have discovered that they are within
Yep.
county property. Okay, I just
There's
wanna,
a survey done.
oh, great,
So the survey that was conducted by Flatiron and Syndicate was kind of.
Okay. okay,
okay,
Yeah, there's a couple of errors on the GIS map, along with the legal description for the strip. So, we'll need, some surveying and title clarity to be able to move into a minor subdivision of that, because it appears it's outside of the new subdivision and outside of the, West Park subdivision, so it appears to be an unplatted parcel, even though on some maps it reflects a series of lots, but so we will have a little bit of platting work to do, particularly on dividing a portion of that.
Okay, would we have to do that before, or would that kind of happen in the PUD or whatever point at which the county is considering conceptual or like sketch planning?
So I
Process.
think in order to acquire the property ahead of the final platting or PUD process of the master plan, because at that point we can be rolled in, but for the acquisition purpose, it is gonna have to have a minor subdivision prior to.
Oh, right, okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were still talking about those
Oh, the other
separate
ones.
parcels.
Those were
okay.
actually, it's just a mapping error in GIS, so that'll be rolled into, yes, that'll all be rolled into
That'll
the
be
master
part,
plan.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, great, yeah, I follow that, thanks. Okay. So we are approving the purchase sale agreement, any like final review, any other
Nope.
nuance to that
Chris has
motion that
been
needs
working
to
with the district attorney, I've been working with Kate, we've gone back and forth on a lot of things. We thankfully to Sherry in the assessor's office, taking a very deep dive into our history, but we've confirmed everything. We do need to talk to the title company, cause some of the stuff they provided was not the best.
accurate.
But we've been able to confirm it in-house. So I think there's a comfort with legal, a comfort with me, on moving forward with this.
And we do have word from the district that they have approved the version of the agreement that's in your packet, so yeah, it is considered a
Great.
final version.
Thank you. Alright, well, I'll move to approve the purchase and sale agreement with Lake County School District, for the purpose of real property and easement.
Motion?
The easement is for that Harrison strip, so for the subdivision, the county will have an easement on the southern portion for utilities.
Yeah.
For any future work on Harrison Boulevard. Sorry.
Second motion.
Just further discussion on that, the easement for utilities alone, we don't intend to do surface improvements and or get in the way of school district operations for snow removal and their snow storage, cause that's a big.
Yeah.
That's the key part of that.
Yeah.
Agreement, okay. Great, nothing more from me, thank you.
Call for vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, great. So PSA with Lake County School District and before you go, can I say a question? There's a Monday, just because next is the calendar review, there's a Monday planning commission on the calendar, is there an agenda for that, like will that planning commission meeting happen? Okay, great.
And that's a hearing,
Nope, it's not a hearing, it's a work session.
okay, great,
Okay,
thank you.
okay. Cindy, we finished the vote on that PSA on the Lake County School District, right? Okay, great, so we're all set there. Okay. Okay, calendar review.
Hey Duncan, are you gonna be in your office? Yeah. Okay, I'll come down when I'm done.
Stop share. Go back and share it, I'm sorry.
Monday, the 13th. Lake County School District Board of Education regular meeting, from 5:30 to 8. And the planning commission, meeting from 4 to 6.
And I we will have a draft of the audit this week. And Candace and I will go, request any changes and make anything, so if you have 30 or 45 minutes on the 13th to accept the 2023 audit, that would be great.
Or like just do a special meeting quickly, like. could we-
3:30?
Yeah, I can do that,
If that
For
works.
the planning
Yeah.
commission?
Okay, or, yeah,
3:30?
before, okay.
Yeah.
3:30 on Monday,
Yeah.
okay,
and
just for like,
only need two of us, so.
and that's all I'm showing on Monday, so we'll add the special meeting to that. The 14th, we have the swearing in of the new board and the assessor, from noon to 1. And, Lake County Public Library Board of Trustees meeting from 6:30 to 8. And I think the rest of the week is pretty easy for y'all. We've got community coffee. The new commissioners will be attending the CCI new commissioner orientation in Denver. Starting on the 15th, that goes through the 17th. And we've got the Leadville Lake County Regional Housing Authority regular board meeting.
I have on the,
Mm,
or sorry, we're just going,
go ahead.
on the seventh, I have stuff on the 17th, but jump in.
Oh, okay.
The
Is
I mean, I don't
15th?
have stuff on the 17th.
Is this still on,
like-
Sarah?
So it is, but I didn't realize that there was a conflict with the CCI for the new board, so I will bring that back to the RHA
Okay,
and maybe suggest that they move that to
okay,
the following week.
okay,
And then,
And on that note, I spoke with Councilmember Hill and Jackie about that, because there's, the county appointments need to be made for the grievance committee for the lottery. The first regular meeting, just given the schedule for the orientation, for CCI orientation, then the 21st, 22nd, 23rd work sessions, getting the board, so anyway, the first board meeting for the new board will be on the 24th, which I believe is when the grievances are due, so we should be covered on all of those fronts, but yes, if the,
cause the 24th is
is a Friday,
it's a Friday,
was a Friday,
yep,
so it'll
Okay.
technically be a special meeting with regular.
okay.
and that's when we'll,
So
the
we should
annual and all that.
maybe suggest to do the RHA meeting on the 29th, the following week,
I would, yeah, I would
sticking
think
with the
so.
Wednesday or whatever, but
Yeah.
after the 24th,
Mhm.
okay.
Or, I mean, the evening of the 24th, I don't know, dependent on how the RHA wants to do it.
Okay. Great. And then there is a special meeting of the Council of Governments on the 15th that I did forward to Lauren and the new board. Figuring that Lauren would attend as the proxy. I know she's out of office right now, but she's been assigned as the proxy, so could we just add that?
Can you forward that to me?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm looking for that now.
Yes, I'll add that. And then, yeah, just let me know about, when you find out about the RHA, and I'll help you get that switched around.
Okay.
I can help you post the agenda and stuff too.
Okay.
So on the 16th, commissioners will still be at orientation. I'm not showing anything else. And on the 17th, this will be the last day of orientation with CCI. We have the fire management board meeting from 9 to 11.
And I will follow up with you on that, cause the
Okay.
new board won't have made their appointment yet.
That's true.
So we punted the January meeting to February,
Okay,
so, yeah, we can take that on.
get that switched, okay.
Yeah.
And Twin Lakes Community Coffee.
So there's a CDOT IMTPR meeting at 10. so.
On the 17th?
On the 17th.
That's on your calendar, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you ask Dana to invite me, or to add me to the,
Okay,
and then,
Yeah, we'll get that added on. That is it for me. Except for that I have a lot of stuff for you guys to sign after this.
okay. Let me just send that email to Dana before I forget.
okay.
Do you know if she got Michael Irwin on?
I'll ask
I had-
Michael, not sure.
Sure, I'll just, yeah. Do that. Okay, does that's all good on calendar review? Okay. I think, we will go into executive session just so that we can speak frankly about those matters.
So at 12:02, I'll move to go into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024FI to discuss personnel matters pertaining to the county attorney's proposed employment contract for 2025.
Okay, and I think it'll be just the three of us and the county attorney that will be in that. Okay. Alright,
Okay, I'll make a motion to come out of executive session at 12:58.
Second motion?
great, call for vote,
Aye.
aye, okay, so we are out of executive session.
And I'll move to direct the chair and the county attorney to revise the county attorney contract and the job description as discussed, and move to execute.
Second motion?
Great, call for vote,
Aye.
aye, great. And I think just the consent agenda.
And I had sent Cindy some small edits on 4 of the things that she made changes to, so.
I made them this morning.
Okay, great,
Have the
yeah,
file sitting here.
yeah, and I didn't have any changes beyond those.
Okay, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second motion?
Great, call for vote,
Aye.
Aye.
aye. The consent agenda is approved.
Thanks for getting those up to date, Cindy.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was a feat.
That was.
Small feat.
And I think at 12:59, we can adjourn.
Great.
2 minute.
Okay,
Mhm.
you have stuff for us to
Where's,
sign?
yeah, we're just gonna sign everything.
Yeah, no, it's fine anyway, it's something that technically is.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.